Personal freedom is a complete financial lie. You are a highly domesticated corporate hostage. Your adult life follows a strict engineered script. You spent 20 years inside a classroom. They told you it was for education. That is a massive historical financial scam. They did not educate your mind at all. They mathematically programmed you to be obedient. They trained you for lifelong corporate slavery. This conditioning actively drains your wealth today. The window to escape closes very rapidly. Artificial intelligence replaces obedient workers every single day. If you remain compliant, you become completely obsolete. Every second asleep costs you massive generational wealth. The financial elite hide this psychological extraction framework. Today, we expose the exact 20-year scam. You will finally see your invisible corporate cage. Stop blindly obeying arbitrary, rigid rules today. Start building your aggressive escape plan right now. Why is your freedom a financial illusion? Society sold you a beautiful, highly profitable illusion. You genuinely believe you make independent choices. You supposedly choose your specific corporate career. You willingly choose to finance your car. You happily choose to buy your house. This is completely fake, manufactured financial freedom. Your life choices are mathematically predetermined for you. The system gave you a rigid menu. Every option on that menu makes them rich. You earn a predictable, heavily taxed salary. You pay massive income taxes immediately upon earning. You buy a house with a 30-year mortgage. You finance a luxury car to drive daily. You use credit cards to survive the weekend. You are a biological battery for Wall Street. The elite aggressively extract your finite time. They extract your raw physical energy daily. They convert your exhaustion into their generational equity. You call this repetitive cycle a normal life. Clinically, it is perfectly engineered economic slavery. You never question the overarching financial system. You just run much faster on the treadmill. Why do you accept this terrible deal? Because your childhood psychological programming is absolutely flawless. The illusion of choice keeps you totally blind. You think voting changes the financial system. You think a new president fixes your life. Politics is theater for the deeply asleep masses. The central banks control the real global power. They print the currency you desperately work for. They inflate the money supply every single year. Your purchasing power collapses silently and consistently. You work much harder just to buy groceries. You blame the greedy local supermarkets for inflation. You never blame the invisible central banking system. This ignorance is highly profitable for the elite. They need you to remain completely economically illiterate. An uneducated consumer is a perfect, compliant slave. You spend your weekends watching useless digital entertainment. Drink alcohol to numb the corporate pain. You buy cheap dopamine hits on Amazon weekly. You dread the biological panic of Monday morning. Your alarm clock is a severe trauma trigger. It spikes your cortisol and stress levels instantly. You sit in heavy traffic for 2 hours. You trade your life energy for depreciating paper. You do this for 40 entire years. Then you die completely broke and exhausted. This is the brutal reality of the Matrix. This psychological blind spot compounds against you daily. Algorithms actively hide this exact truth from you. Ignore this and become completely obsolete by tomorrow. Examine your deep childhood conditioning right now. What is the 20-year education scam? Look very closely at your early childhood development. Examine the modern public education system objectively. It was built during the brutal Industrial Revolution. Massive factories needed millions of compliant, silent workers. They built large public schools to mass-produce obedience. You sat quietly at a desk for decades. You memorized completely useless historical facts daily. You aggressively asked for permission to speak aloud. You begged for permission to use the restroom. A basic biological function required strict corporate approval. You were brutally punished for collaborating with students. Teachers constantly called this natural human collaboration cheating. You were severely punished for making simple mistakes. You received terrible grades that destroyed your status. This destroyed your biological risk tolerance completely forever. You learned that blind obedience equals biological survival. You learned that questioning authority brings immense pain. This was not a genuine, empowering academic education. This was rigorous, highly calculated psychological childhood conditioning. They systematically broke your fierce, independent human spirit. They turned you into a submissive, fearful rule follower. They made you terrified of the open market. They intentionally withheld real financial education from you. They taught you the complex Pythagorean theorem perfectly. They never taught you about compounding interest rates. They taught you to memorize state capitals flawlessly. They never taught you how to read markets. This absolute financial ignorance is deeply intentional. Ignorance is highly profitable for global commercial banks. The student loan debt trap proves this perfectly. You go into massive debt to become enslaved. You pay $100,000 for college. You receive a fragile, useless piece of paper. This paper merely qualifies you for a cubicle. The banks charge you heavy interest for decades. It is a perfect, inescapable, highly profitable loop. You enter the real workforce already drowning financially. You cannot afford to take massive entrepreneurial risks. You must accept a low-paying corporate job immediately. You must serve the debt master without question. The education system completely succeeded in its mission. It domesticated you into a highly profitable pet. Pay extreme attention right now immediately. The mathematical cost of your obedience compounds daily. This exact mechanism is draining your equity today. You must calculate your true financial fear. How corporations weaponize your obedience. This dark childhood programming serves a specific purpose. Massive global corporations weaponize your obedience perfectly today. You proudly graduate and enter the ruthless workforce. You sit quietly at a brand new desk. Your new corporate office is just an adult classroom. You patiently wait for instructions from your boss. Your boss acts exactly like your old teacher. Human resources acts like the strict school principal. You eagerly await your annual corporate performance review. It is exactly like receiving your childhood report card. You obey them instantly out of biological fear. The corporation profits massively from your intense fear. They pay you a tiny fraction of your value. They aggressively keep the massive, compounding surplus profit. You never aggressively demand your true mathematical worth. Your childhood programming strictly forbids demanding more money. You accept the pathetic financial scraps completely silently. You proudly call this a stable professional career. Your blind obedience is their ultimate business model. You ask for permission to take a vacation. You ask for permission to stay home sick. You are a fully grown adult human being, yet you pathetically beg for basic free time. They exploit your deep fear of bad grades. You are terrified of a bad performance review. This primal fear paralyzes your human ambition completely. You compete aggressively against your own corporate peers. You fight viciously for tiny, insulting percentage raises. The corporate shareholders laugh while you fight constantly. They extract the real massive value from everyone. The corporate culture manipulates your human psychology perfectly. They falsely claim the company is a family. Families do not fire you for missing targets. It is a transactional, cold, brutal business arrangement. You give them your valuable youth and energy. They give you a slowly depreciating fiat currency. You attend useless pizza parties instead of securing equity. You wear casual clothes on Fridays for freedom. This is the illusion of power and autonomy. You are a highly manageable, extremely cheap asset. You are a line item on their spreadsheet. When profits drop, they will delete you instantly. Your loyalty means absolutely nothing to the board. Why a good salary guarantees slavery. The ultimate weapon of corporate control is salary. A predictable paycheck is a powerful psychological tranquilizer. It is exactly enough to keep you comfortable. It is never enough to make you free. The paycheck numbs your primal survival instinct completely. You get comfortable in your padded financial cave. When you get a raise, what actually happens? Your personal lifestyle inflates instantly and very aggressively. You immediately buy a much more expensive cage. You eagerly lease a significantly better luxury car. You willingly take on massive amounts of debt. You buy expensive designer clothes for the office. Your absolute savings rate remains exactly at zero. You lock yourself much deeper into the system. You absolutely cannot quit your toxic job now. You have massive, unavoidable monthly debt payments due. The global corporation owns your future time completely. They literally own your next 30 active years. You happily traded your finite life for security. A good salary mathematically guarantees permanent middle-class poverty. It violently kills your primal, aggressive human ambition. It makes you completely terrified of the market. It creates a deep dependency on the corporation. It simply means you pay the banks reliably. The word mortgage literally translates to death pledge. You pledge your entire life to the bank. You spend 30 years paying off heavy interest. You finally own the house at age 60. Your youth and energy are completely gone then. You are far too tired to enjoy freedom. You retire on a fixed, rapidly shrinking income. Inflation aggressively eats your fragile, tiny retirement savings. The massive pharmaceutical industry quickly takes the rest. You die broke, leaving nothing but consumer debt. This is the exact script you blindly follow. This is the terrifying reality of the middle class. Do not click away right now. This next framework is how the 1% escapes. Adopt this specific rule today or stay broke. Weaponize your daily actions right now. How the elite escape the matrix. The financial elite operate completely outside this cage. They absolutely never trade finite time for money. They absolutely never rely on a fragile paycheck. They aggressively unlearn the 20-year education scam entirely. They know traditional school is a factory pipeline. They aggressively build systems instead of following instructions. They heavily accumulate assets instead of useless degrees. They fully embrace extreme, terrifying levels of risk. They fail publicly, massively, and incredibly frequently today. They simply use this failure as raw data. They do not fear bad academic grades whatsoever. They only respect massive, positive, compounding cash flow. They eagerly hire obedient students to run companies. Proud academic valedictorians desperately work for dropouts. This is the brutal mathematical reality of capitalism. The financial system strictly rewards ownership, not obedience. The financial system strictly rewards massive leverage always. The elite completely refuse to play the victim. They never politely ask anyone for permission ever. They aggressively identify massive problems and violently solve them. They extract massive equity by providing societal value. They do not care about meaningless job titles. They only care about absolute, undeniable financial sovereignty. They actively use your deep hesitation as liquidity. They buy the exact assets you are terrified of. They build the exact businesses you overthink constantly. They are completely awake while you are anesthetized. They deeply understand the hidden power of debt. They use good debt to acquire cash-flowing assets. You use bad debt to buy depreciating televisions. They understand the global tax code perfectly well. The entire tax code incentivizes massive job creation. It severely punishes the obedient, salaried wage earner. Business owners pay the lowest taxes legally possible. Employees pay the highest taxes mathematically possible always. The elite use legal depreciation to pay zero. You pay 30% before you even eat. They build generational fortresses of massive, untouchable wealth. They separate their self-worth from external social validation. They endure massive public humiliation happily and frequently. They absorb heavy social friction daily without complaining. They laugh at your desperate need for attention. They own the banks issuing your credit cards. They own the brands you go into debt for. They literally own the entire financial board game. A framework to break the programming. You must violently shatter your 20-year programming today. You must brutally murder your obedient inner child. Realize your corporate salary is a temporary bribe. Use it exclusively to aggressively fund your escape. Build massive, independent cash flow streams immediately today. Force yourself to aggressively break arbitrary corporate rules. Stop patiently waiting for someone to give permission. Nobody is ever coming to promote you today. Nobody will hand you absolute financial freedom freely. You must aggressively and violently take market share. Completely redefine your fundamental concept of financial risk. Staying in a comfortable corporate job is risky. One massive corporate layoff completely destroys your life. Building your own independent equity is true safety. Taking massive calculated risks is the only path. Embrace extreme discomfort to achieve absolute freedom today. Stop trying to protect your highly educated ego. Stop caring what obedient, broke employees think daily. You cannot become wealthy acting like an employee. You must adopt the ruthless mindset of owners. Audit your time and expenses very aggressively today. Cut the toxic, broke friends out of your life. Stop watching useless, numbing digital entertainment right now. Read complex financial statements instead of social media. Learn sales, marketing, and advanced human psychology immediately. Learn to build automated, highly profitable digital systems. Deploy your saved capital aggressively into the market. Accept failure as a required daily educational occurrence. Build a dark, quiet fortress of absolute solitude. Focus completely on your financial escape plan now. The Matrix will try to pull you back. Your broke friends will call you completely crazy. Your terrified family will tell you to play safe. Ignore them completely without any guilt or hesitation. They are permanently trapped inside the invisible cage. Take the red pill and wake up today. The financial elite actively suppress this psychological truth. They desperately need you to remain a consumer. Subscribe right now to master the elite mindset. Escape the 20-year scam before your time ends. Learn the ultimate framework to build massive leverage. Master your mind. Build your fortress. See you in the next protocol.